This is probably one of the most horrific stories I think we've ever done on this podcast.
In what way?
This massacre to date is the bloodiest slaughter of a royal family in recorded history. So there is an old legend that goes back to 1766. When modern-day Nepal was first founded, the king of Nepal was marching through the valley when he came across a holy sage. The sage extended his hospitality, but was instead insulted by the king, creating a prophecy that would lead to the end of the family in 10 generations. Fast forward 235 years. The next in line to inherit the throne is Prince Dipendra. When he becomes king, he will essentially be the 10th reigning monarch since the prophecy. At a party, the queen and the queen mother, they are still in the sitting room. Suddenly, they see Prince Dipendra appear in the doorway. He is holding a rifle in one hand. Without hesitation, he sprays the absolute hell out of the queen with bullets.
Oh my god.
Like she is dead. Welcome to The Compendium, an assembly of fascinating things, a weekly variety podcast that gives you just enough information to stand your ground at any social gathering.
We explore stories from the darker corners of true crime, the hidden gems of history, and the jaw-dropping deeds of extraordinary people.
I am Kyle Reese, your ringmaster for this week's episode.
And I'm Adam Cox, the lion orthodontist for this week.
Nice.
I do flossing.
Oh, that's tricky. Dangerous.
Yeah, and have you tried fixing a brace to a lion's mouth?
Why? Because they have straight, perfect teeth, right?
Exactly. To be in our circus, they do. Do whitening, all of it.
It sounds dangerous.
It is.
And just for the lions, no hippos or elephants.
Nope, just lions, because they're enough.
They're the ones that are on show the most, right?
Yeah. I've almost been sculpted.
Oh, God. Do you remember Tippi Hedren from the Raw episode? She got scalped by a lion.
Yeah.
Apparently, in the sizzle reel that they sent off to producers, she got scalped and they caught it on film. They decided to keep that in the sizzle reel because they thought it would sell the movie.
Why do they send that? Just because they think, oh, this is really good at special effects?
Do you know what? I think because the film was so bad in the end that they were like, do you know what? We're going to sell this on the fact that people literally almost died.
I mean, the fact that it happened, so we've got the footage.
Yeah. Might as well use it if it's going to benefit us. What a wild story. Actually, what a great episode for you guys to tuck into. Raw, the most dangerous movie ever made.
Just plug in your episodes.
Mm-hmm. So, lion orthodontist, huh? Dangerous job. Yeah, I don't know, Adam. We have too much budget. I think it's scarier when a lion doesn't have pearly white teeth and they're all like mangled.
Good hygiene. If I'm going to be eaten, I'll be like, ooh, this is nice and fresh.
Yes. You have standards about how you envision your death.
Yeah.
Guys, if you are new to the show and you want to support us, then the absolute best way to support the Compendium and enjoy exclusive perks is to go over and join us on Patreon, because signing up is free and you will get access to next week's episode a whole 7 days before anyone else.
And for as little as $5 a month, you can become a fellow freak of the show, which will unlock our entire back catalogue of all of our secret Compendium episodes.
There are better episodes.
Or retracted.
Redacted episodes. But Adam, of course, we have to be honest. The real reason to sign up as a certified freak or a big top tier member is not only that you get to support us, but you also get access to a crotch dangling keychain so that we can always be there, just dangling right by your crotch.
Well, the amount of people that signed up suggests probably not that many.
What do you mean?
I'm just kidding, I'm kidding.
We have so many. Do you know what? The shipment that I've got coming up, since we started listing our unreleased episodes on Spotify, I've got like 100 to send out. I don't know how the post office lady is going to handle that, because normally when I send 8, it takes 40 minutes. And most of them are going to America. So guys, this is how much Donald Trump has fucked us over. We have to fill out a customs form for everything that leaves this country. And because most of the keychains go to America, if I say that it's worth its actual value of £10 or whatever it is, then they charge me more. So I have to say it's worth 10p. So when you get it in the post and it says keychain, Value, 10 pence. It's not actually worth 10p. But also, please don't dob on me. It's the only way I can get it to the States at the lowest cost possible.
Sounds like a you problem.
It is a me problem, but we are willing to bear that cost of the Trump tariffs. So yeah, crotch dangler. Get one.
And lastly, guys, please follow us on your favorite podcast app and leave us a review. Your support helps others find us and keeps these amazing stories coming.
But Adam, that is enough of the housekeeping, because today on the compendium, we are diving into an assembly of family dinner, a loaded silence, and a prophecy that has been keeping receipts for generations.
Sounds like a Sunday lunch at Mum and Dad's.
Yeah, for sure. Adam, so there is an old legend that goes back to 1766, when modern-day Nepal, as we know it today, was first founded. And the legend goes that after Prithvi Naraya Shah conquered the Kathmandu Valley and declared himself the King of Nepal, he was marching through the valley with his army when he came across a holy sage. Do you know what a sage is?
Is it someone with a beard?
It is someone with a beard, yes. That's the best way to describe it. The sage extended his hospitality to Prithvi by offering him a bowl of curd. Prithvi was reluctant. He wasn't sure if the offering was a trick. And so to reassure Prithvi, the sage brought the bowl up to his lips. He took a sip of the curd before extending the bowl out to him, declaring that the curd was now blessed.
Curd, as in like curds and whey? As in from Goldilocks?
Yeah, curds and whey. It's like the byproduct of milk, isn't it?
Right, and that's a gift.
Apparently. It's all the sage had to offer, Adam. But disgusted by the thought of drinking from a bowl tainted by the old man's lips, Prithvi threw the curd to the ground, and as it did, it splattered across his feet and his toes. The sage, hurt by the king's pride, told him that the curd was actually a blessing and that had he eaten it, all of his wishes would have been fulfilled.
Oh.
But now instead, the insult would bring about the end of his house after 10 generations, one for each toe that the curd had touched. So, Adam, after 235 years, in 2001, the 10th king of Nepal was crowned. And as the sage professed, the Nepalese royal family fell. And today, I'm going to tell you exactly what happened.
All because of a bowl of curds.
All because of a bowl of curd. So I don't see the point in obviously asking whether or not you've even heard of this story.
I've heard of this.
Have you?
Yeah.
When?
Like I had like nursery rhymes and storybooks about it.
Oh, God, can you imagine? It's embedded in there. But I actually heard of the story when we were doing Biosphere, when John Allen was working in Kathmandu, and I was looking into kind of what he was doing out there. And that's when I came across the story. And Adam, honestly, it is probably one of the most horrific stories I think we've ever done on this podcast.
In what way?
In like, this is a massacre.
Oh.
Yes. So first of all, do you know much about Nepal?
No.
So Nepal, as I alluded to in the intro, was officially founded between the years of 1768 and 1769, when it was unified as like a single kingdom under King Prithvi Naraya Shah. Before this point, basically Nepal was just a series of like 50 Mala kingdoms. Nepal is, of course, located in the southern slopes of the Himalayan mountain range, making it a landlocked country between China and India. And as we know, it is also home to Mount Everest, right? The tallest mountain in the world. Mm-hmm. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
You just was looking at me blankly. I wasn't sure if you lost focus.
Just glazed over.
Yeah.
Hello.
Had a rough night. But also, interestingly, it's also home to Gautama Buddha, who was the founder of Buddhism, making Nepal a holy site for more than 500 million Buddhists around the world.
I did not know that.
No, I didn't. Now, since the unification of Nepal, though, the Shah dynasty is ruled as an absolute monarchy across several successive kings. But in 1846, this power balance shifted in an event known as the Crown Massacre. The lead up to the Crown Massacre started with King Rajendra Bikram Shah. He's an ancestor of Prithvi. He's not a great king, Adam. He's super indecisive. He was prone to kind of a lot of emotional outbursts. And as a result, he often kind of relied heavily on his queen, Raja Lakshmi. This resulted in the country's elites sort of kind of splitting into these rival clans. You had the Pandres, you had the Thapas, you had the Baziatis, and you had the Kunwas. The Kunwas in particular, they have a lot of influence over the army. So basically, you got to think like the entire kingdom is split up into these little families. Like you've got the Marlboroughs, or you've got the Windsors, or you've got all these different kind of elite families. You could almost say it was like Game of Thrones.
Where you got the Targaryens and the other ones, I can't remember.
Yeah, that's exactly how I imagine it, basically.
Okay.
And like the Targaryens are very good at fighting and stuff like that. So they might control the army as an example.
Others like they work in the forest, so they're good at woodwork. I don't know.
Now, the Kunwars in particular, they have a lot of influence over the army. Now, one evening, Queen Raja Lakshmi's closest confidant, this is a guy called Gagan Singh Budari. He is assassinated in his chamber one night while he is praying. Now, the queen suspected this was the work of one of the elite families called the Pandays, one of the rival clans. And so in response, the queen summoned more than 100 of the kingdom's nobles, officials, and officers to the Kot Armory courtyard. Convinced that the Pandays were at fault, the queen ordered the army's general, this is a guy called Abhinman Singh, to kill the guy who is the head of the Pandays. Kill him, assassinate him, right there in front of all the other nobles. But in that moment, the army general hesitates. He looks to the king, but the king is kind of like just a sleeping monarch, right? The queen is running everything. And so by him looking at the king, this outrages the queen.
Oh.
And so it's clear to the queen where his loyalties lie. And out of this, a scuffle unfolds. And in the chaos, Colonel Jung Badur Kunwar orders the army to take control of all of the exits in the courtyard. And they basically begin slaughtering the heads of the different rival clans. So the Targaryens, gone. The other ones, gone.
So who is left then after all
the
these?
The Lannisters, gone. This, in effect, lays a path clear for him. So he's a colonel of the army, right? Mm-hmm. To take control. And within days, Jung is declared prime minister. And through various political maneuvers, he starts extending his prime ministerial powers, including flipping the title from being an elected role into being a hereditary one, which allows him to keep the role in his family. So basically, imagine Tony Blair becomes prime minister and he dies or he resigns or whatever. He's allowed to pass his role over to his son, basically. Or Sherry Blair. With the big mouth.
Sure, I totally understand. But don't give like Trump ideas, because if he listens to this, he'll think about that.
Yeah, no, don't give Trumpy any ideas. And basically, you would think that at this point he would go ahead and abolish the monarchy, right? Because he is now in control. But he doesn't. He actually decides to keep them as puppets. And he consolidates all the power into basically his prime ministership, giving him complete and absolute control over the country. He also changes his name to Jung Rana. And this now begins the Rana dynasty of the prime ministerialship of Nepal.
And is this like the first country to have ever, or only country to have ever done this kind of dynastyship with a prime minister?
I don't know. But it is interesting to me why he decides to keep the royal family rather than just abolish them.
Yeah, why does he do that?
I think, honestly, it's strategic. This helps him kind of minimize the risk of a rebellion by people who are still pro-monarchy or kind of foreign intervention looking to take advantage of this temporary power vacuum that's kind of emerged out of this, right? So if the royal family is still there, like, oh, the royal family is still there, like no one's going to sweep in, right? So I think it's like a strategic move, basically.
I see, yeah.
In effect, he has cloaked his Rana autocracy in Shah sanctity. So this is how the government of Nepal is structured until basically 1947, when the British decide to withdraw from India. With this went vital external support for this setup, where the prime minister essentially had more power than the monarchy. So throughout the early 1950s, there is this increased movement calling for the Prime Minister Ranas to be overthrown, which of course gets a ton of support from the king at the time. Because for, of course, generations, his family's been just relegated to just a mere figurehead. So there's nothing more than he would like to restore his family's name back to absolute power over the country. Of course, this movement starts to get a ton of support, and eventually, Bahadur Rana is eventually overthrown, the prime minister is ousted, and the royal family is restored to full absolute power.
So how long has the prime ministership been in power, or kind of the dominant power then?
So for like 100 years, It's been in the Rana family, basically. And so by the time the Rana prime ministerialship has been abolished, by this point, King Mahindra is now king. And so what he does is he restores the monarchy back to full power. He issues a brand new constitution, but he also enacts a parliamentary system which allows for real elections, like a true democracy in the country, very much like what we have in the UK. In the end, the Nepali Congress Party ends up winning the majority of the votes, and the king invites a guy called BP Koirala to form a brand new government and become the country's new prime minister. So a proper prime minister like Keir Starmer, right? He answers to the king, he gets appointed, he's just prime minister. However, after just 1 year in 1960, King Mahendra changes his mind. He decides to dissolve parliament. He gets rid of the prime minister and he's like, screw that, I'm in charge, everyone else can get fucked.
So why did he do a U-turn on that then?
Basically, it's because the prime minister was just useless. Like the roads were like going to shit. Like infrastructure around kind of Kathmandu was not great. And he was like, yeah, people have lost trust in the prime minister, so I'm just going to reverse everything, take back control.
Could he not just get a new election?
Yeah, exactly. Just like, I'm going to get rid of you, going to hold a new election, we'll pick someone who's a bit more competent. But no, what he does is he just basically gets rid of democracy.
Okay.
This, of course, sparks riots across the country, and in response, as most tyrants do, the king starts to imprison anyone who starts to oppose this idea of dissolving democracy and going back to full autocracy, which is not going to end well, is it?
No, especially in like modern times, do you know what I mean? That's only, 70 years ago?
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't that long ago, was it? And for a time, there was hope amongst, obviously, the Nepalese people that both India and China would see what was going on and possibly try and intervene. But the king was smart enough to make sure that he got India and China's full support before officially reclaiming full power. So King Mahendra, he manages to hold on to power until 1972 when he finally dies. And his son, Birendra, becomes the new king of Nepal. So we're going through the generations, right? We're getting closer to generation 10.
And so what generation are we on right now?
We're on generation 8.
8. Okay, so they've still got the King dynasty and everything.
Yep.
But it's coming to an end.
So we're making progress, Adam, because it's King Birendra who actually sets the stage for our little prophecy. King Birendra, he is the oldest son of the previous king and his first wife, Indra, who died due to complications giving birth to their sixth child. Interestingly, her death is actually what gives rise to Nepal building the country's first maternity hospital in the country. Before that, they were just like, oh yeah, you just give birth at home. The baby dies and dies.
How far behind are they compared to the rest of the world then?
I have no idea, but if you don't have a maternity hospital, I would say pretty far behind.
Yeah, true. It does feel like at least have a room dedicated.
Just a little place where you can go and give birth, even if you have to do it yourself. Hand towels are there, sinks there. If you need the scissors, they're all over there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, check in yourself. Yeah. Wipe down once you're done.
Yeah.
Get out.
Shut the door on your way out.
Yeah.
So after her death, the king, of course, he needs a new wife. And so he ends up marrying his wife's sister.
Does he not get out much? Is he just like you'll do?
I think so. I guess it's handy because it means he doesn't have to go through that awful process of having to meet the family again. It's like I already know them.
And how does the rest of the family take to this? How does even the sister take to this? Because you were just married to my sister.
I don't know. It's all just alliances and Game of Thrones, isn't it? It's all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but it's not that long ago. It feels more like EastEnders.
Yeah. EastEnders did probably start in the 60s, didn't it?
80s, I think it was.
Really?
So this is what I mean. This is soap opera.
Anyway, Birendra, right, growing up as the Crown Prince, he gets the best education possible, as you can imagine. He attends Eton College in the UK, and by all accounts, he is really well liked. He doesn't really come across as the self-entitled tyrant. He has friends, he has girlfriends. He doesn't have those North Korean dictator vibes manifesting under the surface. He's just ordinary, regular, well-adjusted kind of guy.
So he's a nice dictator.
Yeah, his classmates describe him as basically a cool kid.
Okay.
He's also very aware and embarrassed by his title, especially when his teachers at Eton insist on calling him by his full title during assemblies.
What's his full title?
This is the thing. I had to practice this so many times, so God knows, and I'm never going to say this title again after this episode, but for these teachers at the school who insist on calling him by his full title, man, they must have had to practice.
Okay. Have you got this written down phonetically?
I do. Yeah. His name is Shipunch Maharaja Diraja Crown Prince Birendra B. Bikram Shah Dave.
Dave?
It's Day, D-A-Y-V.
Okay, I'm just going to call him Dave.
That's what I mean. It's like, sir, can't you just call me Dave? They're like, no. So yeah, they had to practice that.
So when they have to call the register, it's like, oh my God, every time.
So yeah, I'm here, sir. Do you think he ever corrects anyone if they get it wrong? Mispronunciation?
But it sounds like he is a bit more relaxed. And if he's ashamed of it, I don't think he's going to be like, what did you just call me? You pronounced
exactly.
it wrong.
Yes.
So probably not.
That's me. But I do love how it's Dave at the end, which is a very Indian word, Dave. D-A-Y-V.
Really?
Yeah. So after Eton, Birendra, he goes off to study at the University of Tokyo and then at Harvard. Sadly, when he is 26 years old, his father dies, and of course, Birendra is then pronounced king.
King Dave.
King Birendra.
Oh, sorry.
Dave is like the last word on his title.
I know, but that's the bit I remember.
Yeah, exactly. Should we just call him Dave? So Birendra, he is married quickly off to his second cousin, a woman called Aishwarya Raja Lakshmi Devyani Rana.
Isn't that the same name as the Prime Minister?
Exactly, because she is a member of the Rana family who ruled the country as a prime minister for the last 100 years under Jung Rana's autocratic prime ministerialship. And basically the reason why they allow this marriage, it's essentially this deliberate political alliance to heal kind of those historical divides between, obviously, the Ranas and the monarchy, right? Mm-hmm. But it also helps to consolidate power back under the monarchy that may have been left behind from the previous structure, because basically it's saying if there's any supporters out there that still want the prime minister stereotype to come back, then now they're part of the royal family, they're all the same thing. So you've just consolidated that power, essentially.
Sure, okay.
And Adam, their wedding is massive. It's lavish. It's a political statement. It's considered one of the most extravagant Hindu royal ceremonies in history. It cost somewhere between the region of $10 to $6 million, which is surprising to me because I thought there would be weddings out there that would have been, especially royal weddings, that would have been way more than that. But this is considered one of the most extravagant Hindu weddings. The Hindus are downplaying a lot of things, I think, if this is the case. Yeah.
But this is back in what, the 70s?
Something like that.
That's still probably a lot of money.
I guess so. Yeah. Now, 10 to 16 million doesn't seem like a lot of money, maybe to us in comparison to today, but at the time, this was 25% of the country's annual budget.
Wow.
That is a lot, isn't it?
On a party?
Yeah, on a party? So relatively, it's a hell of a lot of money. They end up importing flowers from the Netherlands. They whitewash all the buildings across Kathmandu. They repave many of the roads, which I'm sure the local people would really appreciate.
Well, yeah, that's good. At least that's giving back to the community.
Exactly. They also clear out all the hippies and the hashish markets, which of course means thousands of people get displaced, which isn't good.
That's not so good.
They also import white stallions from England, which is strange because I didn't think that the UK was known for its white stallions.
And what, are they going to ride on the stallions?
Probably like horse carriages and things like that.
Okay.
They also fly in all the food from Delhi, specifically flown in just for the wedding. They issue a new postal stamp. So basically, Adam, Nepal is treating this wedding as a very big deal.
Sounds like it. Yeah.
It's because it's the first wedding since they've reclaimed power, really, under the new monarchy's total full control of the country again, after 100 years, essentially.
It's always a big deal when like they update the stamp. Like now they update the stamps all the time. Doesn't feel like a big thing, but back then.
I bought some stamps like 4 days ago because I had to send off my passport, and it was still the Queen on there. Where's Charlesy?
I guess maybe they got so many stamps that they're having to clear out.
That's possible. Maybe they were like, the Queen is probably died. We should just issue one more batch of stamps so everyone can get a stamp.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
probably,
it.
Yeah.
And so, Adam, they're getting married. When it comes to their wedding celebrations, very often the Nepalese people will look to the heavens to work out everything from when to what to how, like when you guys should be having sex, to make sure that you produce an heir that will fall in the exact celestial kind of arrangement that will give us a great king, as an example.
How can they, I don't know.
They're very clever people, Adam. Very clever.
But what happens if they can't get pregnant?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the problem, right? Mm. But it's those types of things. This also extends to Birendra's coronation, right? Which is why there is a 3-year gap between when he formally becomes king to when Birendra is physically coronated. So he's just sitting there going, well, I'm king, but I'm not officially king for another 3 years until I get coronated because Jupiter isn't aligned with like Saturn in this constellation in Leo or whatever.
He's like interim king.
He's an interim king, yes. During his coronation ceremony, Birendra is ritualistically covered in mud from several symbolic places around Nepal. They get some mud from a mountain, from a bottom of a lake. They make a paste out of ivory from like a tusk of an elephant, which they grind up to kind of make into this weird paste. They make mud from the dirt that's collected from the doorstep of a sex worker.
And this was part of the star signs?
This is all kind of the symbolic, kind of ritualistic stuff. This part of it is to make sure that the queen will be adventurous in the sack. That's the purpose of the sex worker mud.
And the rest of the mud?
Oh, it's probably like he's got control over the mountains, got control over the seas, or I don't know.
And they just need some sex worker mud for a little bit of kink.
Yeah, that's it. So once Birendra is all muddied up, he's then ritualistically cleaned with butter and milk and yogurt and honey. All the while, all the holy people are chanting Buddhist chants and stuff like that. And like, Adam, remember, all of this happened during the 1970s. So there were guests there that we would know today, including serial gatecrasher Imelda Marcos.
Oh, was she? What? With some new shoes?
Yeah. Also, Prince King Charles was there as well.
Okay.
So Adam, 4 years in, once the celebrations are out of the way, Birendra begins his kingship. And again, the monarchy rules with absolute control. But due to economic struggles that afflict the country throughout the late 1980s, a popular movement starts to build momentum in the country, calling for the monarchy to be changed into a constitutional one, almost exactly like what we have in the UK, right? Mm-hmm. At first, the answer is a flat no, right? He's, nope, I'm king, I've got complete control power over the country. But following a series of mass protests, King Birendra is finally forced to concede and give the people what they want. The wider royal family hate this move because, of course, it means that the monarchy will have to give up a lot of the power that they've been struggling to kind of regain back over the last 100 years. Remember, it wasn't that long ago when they were in a situation where they were completely powerless. So this move feels like a small step back in that direction for a lot of the members of the royal family. So they don't like this idea of... So under this new system, there are going to be three main political parties, and they all start campaigning for power. The three main political parties are the NC, which is the Nepali Congress. We also then have the Communist Party. They are described in the country as the Maoists, and they, Adam, are dead set on getting rid of the monarchy altogether. They're very anti-monarchy. And then you have the National Democratic Party, who are very pro-monarchy. So if you were a member of the royal family, which party would you be voting for?
The National Democratic Party.
They're pro-democracy, aren't they?
Yeah, so it's got a bit of a risk by introducing these three parties, but knowing one has so completely different ideals to the royal family.
That's right, yeah.
But they did it anyway, just to kind of give democracy.
That's right. The Maoists, they are just this massive threat to the monarchy. They also don't really think that they're going to get that much kind of influence over the people, but their popularity ends up growing. And in 1996, the Maoists, they announce what they call the People's War. And Adam, it is bad. This causes a 5-year period where around 17,000 people end up being killed and 150,000 people are displaced. And it's all just because of these political divides, people infighting between these different parties, people who are pro-monarchy and people who are anti-monarchy.
So it's all different people supporting different parties then. It's not a particular party that's getting killed.
Yeah, it's just people infighting basically because they have opposing ideologies across the country. So it's not good. This People's War essentially goes on until 2001, when the prophecy that we talked about at the very top of the show begins to unfold and ends up transforming the royal family and the country forever.
Is it because they get a new heir, right?
Well, before I get into that, I do feel like I need to tell you just a bit more about the more important people in the royal family, the ones that are relevant to the story right now.
Okay.
The prophecy. Because you can forget all the names that we mentioned before. They're not important anymore.
So who do we need to focus on then?
Okay. So, of course, you already know that we have King Birendra and his queen Aishwarya. They have 3 children. The youngest is Prince Nirajun, who is 23 years old. The second is Princess Shruti. She's 24 years old. And the eldest, and of course, the Crown Prince, the one next in line to inherit the throne, is Prince Dipendra. And he is 29 years old. Now, when he becomes king, he will essentially be the 10th reigning monarch since King Prithvi Narayana Shah claimed the throne in 1766.
And so does he know of the prophecy? Does the family know about what could happen?
It's such an interesting question because for a monarchy that is so entwined or so reliant on the court astrologers, I wouldn't be surprised if they haven't at least got their eye on that prophecy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, do you know what it reminds me of? This is really geeky. It kind of reminds me of Doctor Who. I'm pretty sure there was a point when I watched it that eventually there would only be like 10 doctors or something like that. And when he gets to the 10th doctor, then the doctor dies or something. But that was the kind of the whole point. It's like, oh, if he regenerates any more than 2 more times, then he's dead sort of thing.
Yeah,
so he has to be careful.
Exactly, yeah. So I imagine the court astrologers, they're keeping their eye on this. But they're probably also thinking, well, do you know what? We'll just really protect the king. We'll keep him indoors a lot. I don't know.
And then it's like, oh, it's 200-300 years old prophecy. Yeah. Can it really happen?
Yeah,
what do they know?
It's just a fable. Yeah, exactly. The thing to know about Prince Dipendra, the Crown Prince, he's very popular amongst the people. And he's affectionately known as Dippy, which I think is a cute little name.
Isn't that a dinosaur?
It is, yeah. Dippy the dinosaur, the big Diplodocus that used to be in the Natural History Museum before they took him out.
Yeah, that's right.
He came to Norwich.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
on his travels.
Yeah. I think also he went to Australia. I think he's recently been in Sydney.
It's a giant fossil.
So Dippy, like his father, he also goes to Eton. He's also a black belt in karate. He is also super into all things that are military. He also has a bit of a fighter streak in him as well. So he's very into the military. It's in England that he ends up meeting a woman that he falls madly in love with. And her name is Devyani Rana.
Ah, so that's part of the Prime Minister's family, right?
Yeah, so she's part of that side of the family, yeah. But she's from like kind of the India branch. Like since obviously they've been ousted, they've moved to India. There's different kind of areas of it, but she's got the Rana name. Here's the thing to know about her side of the family. Adam, they are stinking rich. By comparison, their wealth vastly outstrips the Nepalese royal family's wealth by a considerable margin. Imagine being so rich that you look your nose down at Prince Charles.
I mean, you've got to be like, what? Like Elon Musk, that kind of rich.
Yeah, stinking rich. That's how rich I'm talking. However, when the king and queen find out about the relationship and that they are potentially interested in getting married, they're completely outraged by this.
But isn't she a Rana, the queen?
The queen, yeah. So she comes from the Rana dynasty. But the problem is that Devyani's mother has Indian blood in her. It raises basically fears about Indian influence that might leak into the royal family if they do get married, because the two countries at the time were not on good terms, which is a little bit racist, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
It also doesn't help that the Queen Mother has her royal astrologers look into their compatibility, and they say that Devyani was unlikely to produce them a male heir.
How do they know that?
Again, they just ask the astrologers, but come on.
Yeah, what do they know?
Apparently a lot, because they're taking their word for it. So if the fact that she is half Indian doesn't inform their decision on being outraged by this unionship, the fact that she's unlikely to produce a male heir
will
definitely do it, right? Yeah. But regardless, Dippy says that he doesn't care about this and he is going to pursue the relationship anyway. And so the king says if he does that, he is going to disinherit Dippy. And so for a long time, they are forced to continue the relationship in secret. So they'll like travel to different countries around the world. They'll meet up like in Paris and France or whatever.
Fine. So it's a relationship that the royal family doesn't approve of. And yeah, if he wants to pursue that, he can't be the king. It's a bit like, who's the one that abdicated because of Wallace?
Oh, Edward IV.
Yeah. I mean, different, but kind of like that.
Yeah. But I guess if he does want to be with her, then that's his only option, right? Is to abdicate and to allow it to go to his brother. Which for me, I would still be like, I don't care, really. Like, I would just be like, I'm happy to just abdicate. Because remember, like, her family is vastly richer than they are anyway.
That's true.
So
they're
like,
going to have a really comfortable life.
Exactly. It's not like he's going to be left destitute. If anything, he's going to be better off. He might even be able to finally get that pool.
Doesn't have the responsibility if he just marries into that family.
Exactly. No responsibility and richer. The problem is, Devyani's family is also against the marriage as well. And it just so happens to be for the same reason. They don't have a pool. It's because they're poor. They think that their daughter marrying into the Nepalese royal family would be a massive downgrade for her.
Wow.
That's how rich they are. They're like, how will you cope when you only have 10 bedroom servants to help you get ready for bed at night?
That is a dilemma that I can take.
But another reason is because they question, like, what kind of royal family would surrender their power to the people as well? They're like, why would you do that? And in all honesty, the royal family, they don't really have that much of a global diplomatic sway about them anyway. They're just, the way that Devyani's family see it is, they're just the Nepalese royal family. Like, if you marry them, what benefit is that going to have for you and your own personal interests? She would be way better off marrying like a Middle East billionaire where she'd have way more power than all the members of the current Nepalese family put together.
But does she wants to pursue the relationship as love, right?
Yeah, she loves him. She loves Dippy. Dippy the dinosaur. So it's safe to say that Dippy is just a little bit gutted by this news that not only does his family disapprove of the marriage, but her family also disapproves as well.
It's like Romeo and Juliet.
He's also been insulted at the same time, like being made to feel like a joke. Oh, he's only the prince of Nepal.
Yeah.
So eventually Dippy graduates and he comes back to Nepal. He, again, sneaks off occasionally to hook up with Devyani. Meanwhile, he ends up settling into a career in the military where he is training to become a pilot. At this point, Adam, it is now 2001. And so in June of that year, Dippy is hosting a family gathering at his house within the royal complex. He invites all the usual members of the family. There are around 22 of them, spanning across like 3 generations, right? Including very close friends of the family. And this is typical. The family actually caught up like this on the first and third Friday of every single month. They would all basically take turns hosting at their own royal quarters in the palace grounds, essentially. There's never any formal plans. You would just basically wait for like a location to be confirmed on like the royal WhatsApp group or whatever. And then people will just show up. So it doesn't go unnoticed when Dippy wants to know specifically who will be attending in advance, because it's not really how it worked. They would just be like, who's hosting? Everyone show up for drinks. There's normally a buffet. People would just grab some food and they would sit and chat and catch up and things like that.
Well, surely it's just like the royal family. Why does he want to know specifically who's coming then?
They think basically that maybe he might be hosting like a sit-down dinner and he needs the numbers for the caterers. So to them, that kind of makes sense. At around 8 p.m. that evening, guests start arriving, which is Dippy's cue to go and collect the Queen Mother from her complex. He gets back a little after 8 p.m., so it's not that far. And after everyone has arrived, they all have a few drinks and they have a few nibbles together. And Dippy says that there will be a buffet coming out a bit later. But no one really questions or thinks about, oh, why did he want to know about who was going to be attending that night?
I feel like that's just a normal thing to ask, but maybe not in these social circles.
They've just been doing it for so long, and this is just the dynamic that they just pick a location and everyone just shows up, right?
Mm-hmm.
They do the usual thing. The family split up into their usual groups. The Queen Mother and the King and the Queen and some of the older kind of family members, they go and chill out in a little sitting room just off the main foyer. The younger members of the family, including Dippy, they head to the billiard room where they can, sort of listen to music. They can be a bit more rowdy. They can have a few drinks. They can just be young and royal. Do you know what I mean?
Young and royal, playing Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah, playing Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
By this point, Dippy is already very, very drunk on whiskey, and the room starts spinning for him. Oh. And so he decides that he wants to take a break from playing pool, and he sits down on the couch for a bit.
How much has he had to drink?
Quite a lot. He's very drunk at this point, Adam.
Right.
Drunk enough for it to not be appropriate around your relatives.
I know, in front of his parents and then his aunt and uncle and all that.
They're in the other room, though, but they could walk in at any moment, right?
Yeah.
When he sits down, he decides that he is going to spark up a joint, which, again, in that family is just not something you do. As a family, they are very anti-pot, and he knows this, right? So him sparking up either gives you a clue of just how drunk he is, or the disdain that he now has for his family, since they will not let him marry Devyani.
So he just doesn't care at this point.
He might not necessarily care, does he? The point is, a few people in that room are concerned that the king could potentially walk in at any moment. And so if they see him smoking a joint, it's not going to be good. Eventually, Dippy's cousin, Paras, he decides that the best thing for us to do is to put Dippy to bed. As well as being Dippy's cousin, Paras is also Dippy's closest confidant as well. But also, Paras is a very dangerous guy, right? He once killed 2 motorists in a hit-and-run accident, and he ended up shooting a bouncer one time in a nightclub in Kathmandu.
So, got a bit of a temper?
Yeah, and no charges were brought against him at all.
Wow.
So it kind of shows you the lawlessness that they live by as members of the royal family, especially when they're a bit dangerous,
Mm-hmm.
And so Paras takes Dippy to bed. Everyone is in the billiard room. They're all gossiping about Dippy and what he's done, like what he must be thinking, and like how brazen of him to light up a joint.
And the room's going to stink.
Exactly. When Paras puts Dippy to bed, he goes to place Dippy's joints in his bedside drawer. And as he does, he notices that he has a couple handguns in his drawer. It's not a big deal because Dippy is really, really into them. Apparently, he was given like his first pistol when he was like 8 years old. which totally appropriate thing to do.
Like a spud gun, but an actual pistol?
An actual pistol. And ever since then, apparently, he's been completely obsessed with him. One of his favorite things to do growing up was designing the perfect gun on Microsoft Paint. So I imagine as like a Homer Simpson kind of car with all the different models.
Oh, yeah.
And so by the time he's an adult, Dippy has amassed a huge collection of rifles, machine guns, pistols, Adam, all sorts. And he stores them all in the palace armory, which is on the complex.
Yeah.
And so he comes and goes without any question.
And he keeps them in his bedside drawer. He doesn't return them back in. He doesn't check them back in.
Well, he's got one in his bedside drawer, basically. No, carry on.
But is he going to be a little bit concerned just leaving him in his drunk state with a pistol?
Not really. Like, just growing up, he's just always been so enthusiastic about guns. Like, it wouldn't be unusual for you to just be sitting in the living room and to hear a bunch of gunshots. It's just basically Dippy shooting rats and crows.
He's just changing the
in
channel.
The garden. Yeah, and that's exactly what he would do. Like, you would literally hear on a nightly basis gunshots going off, and it's because he's out in the palace grounds just shooting stray cats and crows.
Poor cats.
I know, it was horrible. And so it doesn't concern them. You see where all this is going, right?
No.
Wow. Okay, maybe we need to be a little bit more explicit. So while Dippy is in bed, he gets a call from Devyani. She says when he answered, she couldn't understand a single word that he was saying. He was just slurring his words and he was so drunk, basically. He ends up hanging up, and when she calls back, he doesn't actually answer the phone. Eventually, she decides that she's going to call the palace officers and ask whether or not they can go off and check on him. When they do, they find that he is still in bed, he's a little bit drunk, maybe a little bit high. And so they tell Devyani that he is fine, he's just drunk, and he's in bed. Adam, at 8:45 p.m., King Birendra has joined the party in the billiards room. Smell something in the air.
Yeah. Who's been smoking pot in here?
Yeah. The Queen and the Queen Mother, they are still in the sitting room. Suddenly, they see Dippy appear in the doorway.
With a gun.
He is dressed head to toe in combat clothes. He is holding a rifle in one hand and a shotgun in the other. And honestly, people at that moment, when they see him, they do not react at all. They sort of just look at him surprised, almost amused in a way. They're like, is he like putting on a show? Is he going to show us something? I don't know. Like, he's a king. Maybe we should pay him attention.
Doing a little performance for us. It's his party.
Yeah, why not? Like, is this one of those things where everyone has a part?
Oh, I think I know where this is now leading.
Then, while the king is in mid-conversation, Dippy walks up to his father and fires the rifle at point blank range.
Shit.
He is shot 3 times through his abdomen. And of course, the king, he just collapses right there and then. Everyone in the room in that moment is in just complete shock as to what has just happened, to the point they're just like frozen.
They wouldn't have expected this, right?
And also, it happens so quickly, right? Like, their brains don't really compute that they've just watched the Crown Prince shoot the king at a point blank range with a fucking rifle. Dippy then drops the rifle, and for a second, he just stands there, which is where someone probably, had they had the sense, could have taken him down. But they don't. Dippy then turns, he leaves the room. One of the guests, who is a doctor, rushes over to the king and he tries to stop the bleeding with his jacket, right? He's in mortal danger at this point. Meanwhile, in the sitting room, the queen and the queen mother, they do hear a bang. And here's the wild thing. One of the guests says, "What was that?" And the queen mother says, "Oh, that's probably just Dippy shooting rats and crows in the garden." And then they go straight back to chatting. They have no idea that the king has just been shot.
I mean, no one would have thought that's what was going to happen. Right?
No one would have thought, right? This is why everyone is in such shock. Meanwhile, Dippy heads outside to the garden where he has a stashed gun bag. So it is very clear by that alone, this wasn't a moment of madness, that he had clearly been planning this. He had all the guns in the bag. He swaps out the shotgun. He grabs an M16 rifle and an MP5K machine pistol, both automatic weapons, and then he goes back inside.
Oh, God.
He goes back up to the king. It looks like he is going to shoot him again, but then immediately he's confronted by the king's brother. Dippy shoots him point blank range. He then turns his gun to his other uncle and again sprays a half a dozen bullets into him.
Oh, my God.
His wife runs over to help. Dippy sprays her full of bullets as well. People said he was almost robotic. He reminded them of the Terminator, completely expressionless, totally focused on what he was doing in that moment. His auntie says it was the look on his face that scared her more than actually being shot by him.
Well, this is a family member, like a nephew or whatever, a cousin, and he's doing this?
Yeah. And he's also the crown prince. Do you know what I mean? He's almost the head of the family. While the king is laying, dying, essentially on the floor, barely conscious, Dippy has dropped a gun and he decides to try and reach for it. His sister, Princess Shobha, stops him. She slides the gun away and she's like, enough, that's enough of the violence. She swoops the gun out of the way. Dippy turns, sees the commotion, shoots her point blank several times in the back of the head. Like she posed no threat to him whatsoever. If anything, trying to save him in this moment by saying no more violence. And so he turns around, sees the commotion and just shoots her.
Bloody hell. And I guess he's been obviously drinking all this whiskey. He's been like building the courage, getting high or whatever to do all this.
Possibly, yeah. But it also goes to show the fact that he shot her, it wasn't about whether or not she posed a threat to him. It was literally about killing all these people.
His whole family, I'm guessing.
Yeah. He then turns to the king. He sprays another round of half a dozen bullets into him. It's just the unflinching cruelty in these moments. It's just so difficult for me to get my head around.
Well, I'm guessing he's doing this because he's been told that he can't marry this woman.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he's only been told that he can't be the king and marry this woman, right?
That's true.
But he is being a selfish brat and becoming this horrible murderer.
Adam, over the next 1.5 minutes, he continues taking out all of his aunties, all of his uncles, all of his cousins, in-laws, all of them. He is literally spraying bullets into every single one of them that comes into his sights. Like, these are automatic weapons. You push the trigger for half a second, that's 6 bullets straight into you. It's awful. It didn't matter if you were coming to confront him or if you were running away. If you were cowering, he shot you. Eventually, the palace security, they end up hearing, obviously, all the shots, right? This isn't just shots from, like, him shooting cats and crows in the garden, right?
There must have been, like, loads by this point.
Yeah, that's it. But by the time they get there, though, the door to that wing of the house is completely locked. And so they have to scramble to find another way in.
Did he lock it then?
Who knows? He must have done. If he was planning this, that would be a wise move, right? Because who's the one person that can get in your way? Well, it's the palace guards.
Yeah.
And so after a minute or so, like, it's just almost silent in just the entire room. No one's screaming, no one's shouting. Everyone's pretty much either dead or unconscious or just not with it. He starts walking amongst all his family members and he's literally just kicking them to see if any of them are still alive. The reason why we know this is because some of the survivors talk about this in a documentary called The 0 Hour, where they talk about what it was like being in that room and what he did after he shot everyone. It is horrific.
So like family survivors or like palace servants and stuff like that?
Actual family members. According to some of their testimony, apparently he slowly makes his way towards the back of the room where he comes face to face with Paras, his cousin, right? And his closest confidant. He points a gun at him. And there is a moment where he hesitates and then Dippy just turns and walks away. He lets him live.
Really?
It's the only person that he just was like, yeah, okay, I'm not going to kill you. There is a small group of people that were with Paras. And I guess maybe that might be his sister or whatever, but he lets them live and he just walks past. So there's a small group, but everyone else, he just massacres.
Wow. The amount of hatred he must have had for his family at that point in time to just do this. I wonder how long he's been building up to this.
So when he turns away from Paras, he starts heading back towards the garden. By this point, the queen is alerted to what has been happening, right? She comes running in and she sees Dippy heading outside and she decides to run after him with Dippy's younger brother. Again, when Dippy sees her, Adam, without hesitation, he sprays 6 bullets into his brother and then sprays the absolute shit out of the queen, like maybe 30 rounds or so, just sprays her with bullets.
Oh my God.
Like she is dead. As they lay dying on the ground, he then pulls a pistol to his head and he pulls the trigger. And it is over.
So he wanted or was waiting to shoot his mother and his brother, knowing
just
that
his whole family members, yeah.
Knowing that he'd got everyone, and that's when he would shoot himself.
Yeah. He massacred most of his family.
He took them all out pretty much.
Yeah.
Duh.
All in all, he killed the queen, Princess Shruti, Prince Nirajan, the king's 3 siblings, along with their spouses, the king's cousin. He also killed Princess Shanti. At that point, King Birendra, actually, Adam, is still alive, but he ends up dying in hospital later that night. So out of the 22 people in attendance that night, Dippy murdered 10 of his immediate family members and injured 5 of them.
Wow.
That's crazy.
This is worse than like the Romanovs in a way. Obviously, a different sort of situation, but in terms of wiping out a whole family.
Yeah, that's right, Adam. This massacre to date is the bloodiest slaughter of a royal family ever recorded.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
It is.
and it happened in 2001.
I don't remember this at all.
Oh, there's a reason.
Why?
9/11.
Oh my, really?
Yeah, just this was June, and then September, a few months later, like you probably wouldn't have heard it. It probably would have been drowned out.
It's crazy that again,
Just keeps happening.
Yeah, that year was a nightmare.
Yeah. But Adam, there is something very important that we need to mention, because there is one person that Dippy intended to kill, but actually managed to survive.
Oh, who?
Himself.
What?
Dippy is still alive. And with King Birendra pronounced dead at 9:30 p.m., this meant that Dippy was now king of Nepal.
Shit.
Yeah.
So how he shot himself in the head? How did he get away with that?
He did, yeah. Crazy, isn't it? Of course, the following morning, the people of Nepal, they wake up to obviously the tragic news after the palace issues a statement saying that the shooting was a result of, get this, an accident.
What?
I don't know how that must have computed hearing that, because like, what kind of accident like results in the absolute slaughter of 10 senior members of the royal family? I have no idea. Unless it was one of those things where like you are playing like spaghetti western, where you grab the gun, you spin it, and then it like just is going off the entire time, just spraying bullets. But it's a machine gun.
But yeah, this is like the PR team trying to pull a fast one.
Oh yeah, for sure. But considering Dippy was now the king, I guess that had to be the official story, right? Imagine the optics of having a monarch on the throne who has just massacred the entire royal family. That's not good.
But how are they going to be able to get away with this? This can't...
They just got to put out a statement saying it was a tragic accident.
But then the new king's been shot in the head. He's injured.
Tragic accident. Yeah. That's it. That was the official statement.
But surely some of the members that have survived gone, hang on a second.
Yes, for sure. But remember, he is now king, right? You have to now protect the king.
What?
It's just wild. Of course they're not happy about it, but for the sake of the country and the monarchy, there has to be the official line.
No.
So naturally, as you can imagine, this spurs speculation and conspiracy across the entire country. The next day, as the news of the massacre is settling in, all the family members who were killed, they are cremated under Hindu tradition. Like they don't waste any time. Like you died, we cremate you within 24 hours.
So there's no like kind of autopsy or people like investigating their deaths?
Nope. And that will be a cause for outrage as well, because this was a serious crime. Like there should be exceptions for that. But nope, they all get cremated. Despite what Dippy has done and despite being in a coma, the formalities of pronouncing him king start to get underway, which to me is just wild. Of course, members of the royal family, who, by the way, had just watched their family members being massacred, their husbands, their daughters, their children, whatever, they're outraged by this idea that he is now being proclaimed as king.
Isn't it crazy when you've got like what do they call it in the UK? The company or whatever it is. The firm that just tries to put on this, I don't know, this public image, this display of stuff, and that all things are well, and that they almost have this protocol for this kind of thing.
I think that's exactly what is at play here, Adam. Like, it is nuts that anyone would ever consider giving him the crown. It's a strange thought experiment, because technically, if he killed the king, is that treason? But now that the king is dead, would denying him the crown be treason in itself?
But does he even want to be king at this point?
Oh, God, no, exactly. He's in a coma. Like, we've got to wait till he wakes up. However, it's about to take another turn, Adam, because 3 days after the massacre, Dippy actually dies.
Oh.
Yeah. And so that means that the crown passes to his uncle, Gyanendra. The wild thing is, Gyanendra is Paras's father. That's Dippy's cousin and best friend. That means Paras is now the Crown Prince of Nepal. And I bet he didn't see that coming.
Well, no.
Like, he's like, what a stroke of luck. Do you know what I mean? But also, don't forget, Paras has killed 2 motorists in a hit and run and shot a bouncer in a nightclub in Kathmandu. Is that really the person that you want to be crowned king one day?
Not really, no.
No.
So how does it work with the Nepal royal family then? Because even like Harry is X in line, right, to be king. So Paris would have been X in line to be king, but obviously a lot had to happen before that.
Yes. Like a lot of people would have had to die. And it's just unlikely, right? So on paper, you're like 10th in succession. But in reality, what's the chances of 10 members of your royal family dying?
Yeah.
Quite a lot, actually.
In this situation, yeah.
But get this, Gyanendra, who is obviously the crown now goes to, was one of the very few family members who wasn't actually in attendance at the party that night.
Oh.
And so within 3 days, Nepal has cycled through essentially 3 kings, right? So that prophecy came on pretty damn quick. They were like, I'm losing patience. Let's kill 3 of them.
But then they're still part of the royal family. I thought it was supposed to end at 10. So if it's going to the uncle now.
Yeah, we're going to find out, right? Because it's now on the 11th. What's going to happen? But here's a little quick detail before we get into that. Because Gyanendra, not being at the party, obviously ends up fueling all these conspiracy theories even more, especially when it's pointed out that for a period of 3 months, when Gyanendra was 3 years old, he was actually declared king for 2 months. At the time, the country was in the midst of like the 1950s revolution. The current king at the time and his grandfather were forced to flee to India. And since there were no other male royal heirs in the kingdom, they pronounced Gyanendra, this little kid, king of Nepal. Like Adam, it was only for 2 months, but he had a coronation. They even minted coins in his name. And so when the public are reminded that actually, remember,
You've already done this.
did he already have a taste of the kingship?
He wanted to get that back?
He wanted to get that back. And so did he orchestrate the massacre so he could become king again?
So that's what they're thinking. But hang on.
That is just a conspiracy theory, yeah. But it's wild to think.
Yeah, interesting. But then he's been crowned king as a kid. He gets these coins, and what? His uncle or his great grandfather or great uncle comes back, and he's like, I'll take that back. Thank you.
Basically, yeah. And so for the 2-month period, he was like, yeah, well, but the Power Rangers were so much better when I was king. So he was like, if I'm king now, just think of the cool toys I can get now.
Yeah, like
I can get a Megasaur.
that must be fun to have like been king for a summer.
But then he is only 3 years old. Does he even know what's happening?
Oh, okay, then no. Then how can people say, oh, did he get a taste for it at 3 years
No,
old?
it's the conspiracy. Like people are just drawing the dots together. But there are also other things as well. Like the fact that he wasn't there that night. And normally, like all the royal family members are normally there. He had apparently dinner arrangements somewhere else.
Well, he was wise to do that.
Yeah. Anyway, Gyanendra is now pronounced king. With Dippy dead, the palace, they are now more forthcoming with what actually happened because now they need to protect the new king, right?
Really? So now they're like, oh, actually, what really went down?
Yes, exactly. There's no need to protect Dippy anymore. So this flip-flopping in the official story, of course, as you can imagine, only angers the public even more, which devolves into just protests and riots across the country because they've been lied to once, so they don't know whether or not they can believe the new story, right? And so these riots and protests end up with people demanding an inquest into what actually happened, an independent inquest. They want the truth. And so King Gyanendra, he finally buckles and he appoints Adam a 2-man investigation. Right? They interview 100 people. They formally interview the surviving members of the royal family. The key thing that comes out of this inquest is actually the backstory of the king and queen refusing to let Dippy and Devyani get married. But also a little detail about a meeting that Dippy calls with the royal family 1 year prior, where he vowed that he wouldn't let anyone stand in his way of his relationship, telling his family members that you're either with me or you are against me, going on to say he would kill anyone if they so much as stood in his way.
Wow. So this had been brewing for some while.
Yeah.
He warned them at that point.
Yeah. And in hindsight, some of the surviving family members were like, do you remember that meeting we had a couple of years ago? I think that was a warning, guys.
Yeah. Was he serious about that?
Well, clearly he was.
Yeah, I was too busy, I don't know, playing charades.
But in the moment, they don't really take him that seriously until his younger sister, during the meeting, she stands up. She's pregnant at the time, right? And she starts yelling at him, saying, how can you talk to your family in this way? You are selfish. You're not thinking about the family. Also, what the hell do you know about marriage? And so he just slaps her down, like literally slaps her down. She falls on the floor. She's pregnant. And the whole family is just like, gasp.
Wow. Yeah, he was being a complete and utter spoiled brat. What did Devyani make out of all this? Like when she found out what had actually happened?
That is such a good question. I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know.
Because I'd be like,
I'm sure she's outraged.
That's not the man I was hoping to marry.
Yeah, exactly. Close call.
Yeah.
Yeah. So based on the fact that he wanted to know who was attending that night, based on the fact that he had gotten dressed in full combat gear and had a duffel bag of guns waiting in the garden. It shows, Adam, that he had planned all of this. It wasn't just a moment of madness. Like, after hearing all of that and understanding those basic facts, you don't really need to go any deeper than that. So as a result, the inquest only takes a week. But when the public hear that the inquest has only taken a week and they've only interviewed like 100 people, they're very dubious. They're like, why they're not gone into it that deep? And the reality is, you didn't really need to go into that deep. Do you know what I mean? Like, he clearly massacred his whole family because he couldn't marry the woman that he loved.
He became a bit of a psychopath.
Yeah. But I guess it's because Dippy was by far the most popular member of the royal family, and nobody wanted to believe that he was even capable of doing something like this. Like, he was their dear Dippy.
Yeah, and I guess if they felt like they've been lied to just recently, like, they're probably not wanting to believe it.
Yeah.
Where's the evidence?
Going to be twice as shy, aren't you, right? And so over the next few days, people start scrutinizing every single detail they can. Everything that they look at, everything that they hear becomes a point of scrutiny. Things like, why was King Gyanendra not even there that night? It seems very convenient. Apparently, he had another dinner engagement. They also point out that Dippy was right-handed, and yet he managed to shoot himself in the left-hand side of the head.
I mean, it's not that hard, I think, when you're, I don't know, I'm making a huge assumption
Sure.
that you could probably still do that with either hand.
Yes, and I think there's probably a better explanation or a more rational explanation for that. I think that it's possible that he didn't shoot himself. That after he had done everything that he'd done, the palace guards finally came around, saw him in the garden, and then they shot him.
Oh,
but no one wanted to take responsibility for shooting the king. And so they
Interesting.
just said that he had shot himself.
But equally, like, did he think he would ever get away with it? And also, if you're committing suicide with a gun held to your head that close, I think the chances of surviving that are pretty slim, right? Maybe not impossible.
Yeah.
But pretty slim. So it does make sense that a guard might have done this. Yeah.
But also they question, like, from the pistol that he supposedly fired into his head, 2 bullets were fired. They could find the first bullet, which of course was dislodged in his head, but they couldn't find the second one. So they had questions about that.
Yeah, that does sound a bit sus.
They also wanted to know why, if this was a crime, the dead were allowed to be cremated the next day without autopsies. They also questioned why the guards were unable to gain access to the residence. They're like, well, why?
Mm-hmm.
All the doors were locked and none of them had any keys. Like, should they have had keys? With so many unanswered questions, Adam, people were miffed that the inquest only took a week. But what about all these other questions?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't help when later the palace decided it was best to demolish Dippy's kind of residence in the royal complex. And I mean, other than Dippy shooting himself in the left-hand side of the head, which I think probably is because another guard has shot him to stop him from what he was doing, right? He just sprayed 30 bullets into the queen. I get it. But other than Dippy shooting himself in the left-hand side of the head, I think there is probably a rational explanation for a lot of these things. Like, it makes sense to me that you'd probably want to demolish his residence where half of the royal family were just executed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't want to turn it into some weird, like, shrine
Or a
anything like that.
reminder, especially
Yeah.
if you still have to continue living in the complex
True.
and have to look at that building every day.
Yeah, the surviving family members wouldn't want that.
So you can kind of see how a lot of these things are rational in one sense, but then also why the public, especially when they've been lied to before, would then be forced to kind of look at this with a bit of conspiracy.
I think, obviously, the palace and the firm are trying to do probably best to maintain the image, and ultimately what they've done isn't necessarily bad. They've just gone about it the wrong way.
Yeah, it's causing a clusterfuck, basically.
Mm.
So with the public sort of suspecting the king of foul play and also not really having any sentimental attachment to him because nobody thought he would ever become king, right?
Mm-hmm.
The very, very aggressive Communist Party used this to normalize the idea of actually maybe we don't need these guys. Like, sure, we've lost our dear Dippy, but we're stuck with Gyanendra and no one really knows him, no one really likes him. And so they think maybe it's time for actual reform in the country. Maybe we should just abolish the monarchy altogether. And so it's a very popular notion that starts to intrigue people and also the other parties across the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
King Gyanendra obviously sees the sentiment brewing. And just like what had happened before, he decides that he is going to dissolve parliament altogether. He is going to claw back power. He says it's just temporary and that he will reinstate government after the public have calmed down a little bit, which is obviously bullshit.
Yeah.
And is very clear, if history is anything to go by, that's not going to happen unless people revolt again. And so that's exactly what begins to brew. In April 2006, all the political parties of the country, they band together into a single alliance called the Seven-Party Alliance. They launch the People's Movement and they start marching on Kathmandu. And very quickly, just like that, it becomes very clear that if the king ignores them, it will only end in bloodshed. And so King Gyanendra, he abdicates.
Oh, he does he?
Yeah. And as of today, Nepal is now a federal democratic republic as enacted on the 28th of May, 2008. The monarchy has officially been abolished. As the sage prophesied in 1766, the Shah dynasty would fall after the 10th generation. King Dipendra, or Dippy, was the 10th, and true to the prophecy's word, the monarchy fell after the 10th generation before bringing an end to the world's last Hindu monarchy.
Wow. Did the sage just get lucky? Or is it something that's been written down and told? And is it something that even Dippy kind of knew of and was like, when he got mad, he's okay, I'm going to do this.
Feed into this, yeah.
I don't know, but it is weird. It's weird that it came true in the way that it did. But did his uncle, would he not have been classed as like the 11th? Or because he was king for a while?
He was, but it was after the 10th. So he didn't get to hand it down. So
Right.
the 11th was the last.
Yeah. And what, unless he was counted as one of the other kings beforehand when he was like for a couple of months.
Oh, then it was, I don't know, maybe
Was he
it
like
was.
8 or something?
That's a good question. That makes him then the 12th, which invalidates the entire prophecy.
I mean, it's close, 10 or 11, around about that. He predicted it like several hundred years ago, the sage. But yeah, and I guess the king at the time is like, he knew he probably would have been killed. So abdicating was wise. And he was like, well, can I just keep some money and I'll go live in the hills?
Adam, that's so wild though as well, because King Gyanendra and the remaining members of the royal family, they're given just 15 days to vacate the royal palaces, right?
Mm-hmm.
The country's constitution is rewritten, and today all the palaces are now museums, which you can go and visit. You can also go and visit the crown jewels. So it's been almost 20 years since all of this has happened now, right? Strangely, Gyanendra still lives as a free citizen in Nepal. Because like usually countries that abolish their monarchy, they either execute them or exile them from the country.
But if he like voluntary did it, then that's one thing. But then yeah, you're right, like exile, or could he come back and try and rule again? But perhaps he's wise to that.
But here's the thing though. So apparently, first of all, he lives a fairly modest kind of life. But in spite of Nepal's generosity in letting him stay, he is extremely vocal about restoring the monarchy. So it's a risky game to play when your backyard is Nepal.
Yeah, like I wouldn't be too vocal about that.
Yeah, no.
And I don't think people are really, like it's only 20 years ago. People are not going to be like, oh yeah, let's just change everything back.
We can see how quickly things can change, right? So if there's all of a sudden a movement or support for restoring the monarchy, because we've seen how things can flip-flop, right? Really quickly. What's to say that like some kind of political opposer is going to go in and try and assassinate him to stop that from happening? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like he's been given a chance to live afterwards. So I'll just take that.
Yeah. And Adam, that is a story of the Nepalese royal family massacre, one of the bloodiest royal family massacres in recorded history.
What happens if Dippy had survived? What would have happened? Would they really have carried on? Felt like for a while they would have done.
Yeah, in the documentary, which I highly recommend you watch, it's called 0 Hour. Yeah, the family are outraged. They're like, I cannot believe that we'd witnessed everything that happened that night, and yet he was proclaimed king that night. And they would have to adhere to it because he is the king. But I don't know, would they have continued? I mean, you certainly keep an eye on him.
Yeah, you wouldn't be going round his for dinner, would you?
Yeah, no more dinner parties for you. So what kind of kingship would that have been?
Yeah, it would have like gotten out, right? That news
Must
would have
have done.
broke. But
Yeah.
just that's crazy to think for those 3 days. That's what they were trying to do. And that also, like you say, like that basically made everyone lose their confidence in the royal family.
Yeah, it's wild. Anyway, Adam, do you fancy doing some member shout-outs?
Let's do it.
Okay. As you guys know, we have been hard at work building our brand new job listing site on the website. What do you think of it, Adam? Hard at work.
Yeah, we're recruiting and fast. We need to fill those roles.
We have 100 different roles at thecompendiumpodcast.com. Go off, pick your favorite role, apply, and submit your job description. And we will read the best one on the show on a future episode. This week is from Leanne. Leanne has applied to be the archivist of misfiled prophecies.
Well, what does that mean? What's she up to?
So the role includes cataloguing foretold disasters across reference omens and stamps prophecies as actionable or ignore.
Okay.
Which is very appropriate for today's episode, right?
Yeah, that's true, actually.
It's based on a sage's prophecy. Her role includes maintaining the secure storage of cursed paperwork and time-sensitive warnings that arrive late. She is required to produce weekly summaries for management, who file them under interesting and proceed with the exact thing the prophecy warned about.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
So Leanne submitted her appraisal. What has she said?
She says that her day-to-day responsibilities include designing sigils to keep cursed paperwork from eating her alive. She pulls tarot cards daily to help her decide if a prophecy is actionable or if she should just ignore it. And she is creative and responsive as to why she cannot perform solid duties.
So she's done exactly what the Nepalese royal family have done. They've ignored the prophecy.
Yeah, if there is a prophecy, at least pay half attention to it.
Exactly.
Don't do exactly like it says. She says that there has never been any incidents or near misses or cover-ups. She says, never would I ever. And KPI self-assessment, I am lovely to work with and bake fantastic chocolate chip cookies. Well, you'll be a treat around the office.
Yeah. Send her some of those treats, babe.
Yeah.
Guys, so we are no longer handing out job descriptions. You guys are free to go off and select your own job description on the Compendium website. Once you submit your job description, make sure to include a photograph. You will be added to the Meet the Team page auto-magically. And so make sure you do. We will read the best descriptions out on a future episode.
Should we run the outro?
I think it's time to run the outro, Adam. And so that brings us to the end of another fascinating foray into the Compendium. We hope you enjoy the ride as much as we did.
And if today's episode has sparked your curiosity, then please do us a favor and follow us on your favorite podcast app. It truly makes a world of difference and helps more people discover the show.
For our dedicated freaks out there, don't forget that next week's episode is already waiting for you on our Patreon. And as always, it's completely free to access.
And if you want even more, then join our Certified Freaks tier to unlock the entire archive. You get to delve into exclusive content and get a sneak peek of what's coming next.
We drop new episodes every Tuesday. And until then, remember, Adam, prophecy or not, history only needs one night to change everything.
Ooh.
See you next time.
See ya.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.